Hello, hello. Hello, badass business babes. Happy Wednesday. How are you guys doing? What is new in your world? If you are on live with me, say hello in the chat. Let me know you're here. If you are watching the replay later on, drop a hashtag replay. How's everything going? How are you doing? Happy to be with you here on this fine Wednesday. The sun is still shining outside. Hi, Lucy. How are you? Um, ah, so spring is here. The days are getting a little longer. It's lovely. The weather's getting a little warmer. I was on a networking event yesterday, and they were asking, what is your favorite thing about spring? Mine is the flowers and all the colors that start popping up all of a sudden, as if overnight. I love it. So hi. How's everyone doing? If you have any business questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, the comments. Let me know. Happy to talk about any business questions that you have. And then I'm always thinking, what's going on in my business? It's been sort of quiet in my business, which I've actually had this with in working with clients where we're so used to the hustle. And I talk a lot about masculine energies and feminine energies in business. And this speaks to that because we're used to the hustle, the go, go, go. And I grew up in New York where it's like go, go, go is taken to the next level. It's constant. You always need to be hustling and doing more and faster and what's next. And you know, there's something to be said for that, but it's a bit much for me. After a while, it's like, it's good to a point, right? And so I've had this with clients where sometimes there's a period where maybe what's required is slowing down and taking your time or going back to an earlier step in the process that you feel like, oh, I finished that. And we're so used to like go, 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 hustle that it's a very different muscle. It feels really uncomfortable when it's time for slowing down and moving at this different pace. But to me, it's like, I'm trying to think of an analogy. It's sort of, it's like building IKEA furniture. If you've ever built IKEA furniture, where if you slow down in the beginning and you lay out all of the pieces and you read the instructions and you actually take it step by step, you build a beautiful and structurally sound-ish piece of furniture. Whereas if you just dive right in and start like putting things together how you think it should go, you may find that you missed a step or missed a piece, and then you have to go back, and then it's like, or maybe you can't even go back. So just, you know, in business, there are times where we really need to like slow down, take our time. And I had a good friend who was one of the fastest people I've ever met. Like I watch replays of videos, some of them as fast as double speed, most of them like 1.75 or 1.5 speed, and I can listen to people totally fine. But I started watching a replay of a video we had done together, a class we did together, and couldn't do it. She talks naturally so fast that to speed it up like didn't work. So you know, I'm all about moving quick and getting things done and efficiency. Love efficiency. And there are times where we really need to slow down, take our time, really like be precise with the process or sit with it, right? Like there's some maybe things that need to move, some inspiration that needs to come through, or we just need to like meditate on something for a bit to get some clarity. And so we need to just be patient with ourselves, be patient with the process, know that even if it feels like we're moving slow, if we're still making progress, even if it's slow or smaller progress, um, that it's still progress. Progress is progress. And that there are times for that. There are periods, just like the seasons change. And just like, I like to think about animals, right? Like not, this is a little different because like there are certain animals that move really fast and certain animals that move really slow. You've got your turtles and your sloths at this end of the spectrum. You've got your cheetahs and your ostriches and hawks at this end of the spectrum. So there's different like, just like there's different animals and they move and function different ways. Like people have their own unique pace, so which has more to do with like comparing yourself to others and how fast are other people moving around you or getting their success. But it's also more like the seasons, right? Like there's times when we move really fast and there's times when we don't, and honoring where you are in the moment and knowing that not every day is going to be the same. And that actually came up also on this networking event that I was on yesterday, where we were talking about showing up and how are you accountable, and how do you set expectations with clients in a working relationship. And somehow the conversation got to showing up and giving 100% for your clients. And I pointed out that showing up and giving 100% one day may not be the same as 100% another day. Some days 100% is like, hey, I'm here and I'm so excited and let's celebrate all the wins. It's very like outgoing and high energy. And some days 100% is, I showed up, I made it on time, I just poured myself a cup of tea. Like, how are you guys doing? It might be a much softer, mellower energy. And that may be 100% for that day and for where you are, and not taking away from the quality of delivering and content. Hi, Vivian. So not sacrificing the quality of the work or the presence, but just knowing that 100% isn't the same every day, and that's okay, and that's to be expected. And so the same thing with how fast things are moving in your business and where you're at in your business, that there are different seasons and different times for different energies. Vivian, if you have any business questions, anything that's up in your business that you'd like to ask about, you're more than welcome to drop any questions in the chat and let me know. Happy to speak to that. I was just saying that things have been moving a little slower in my business. It's something that definitely comes up in working with clients, and that it can feel really uncomfortable and nerve-wracking because it's just not it's not what we're taught or encouraged, that we are, we live in a world of hustle, 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 do, go, go, go. But there are seasons for everything. And there are times where things do move a little slower, where we take our time, where we need to slow down to really get things correct and right the first time. And that actually, by slowing down, it saves us time in the long run. So I've personally been in one of those phases. If you can relate to that, let me know in the chat. Would love to hear if that speaks to you, if you've ever run into that. Or maybe you've run into it and not realized that that was what it was. And you were like, oh, that's what that was. I was like totally freaking out. Because it can, like I said, it can be really unsettling in the moment, especially if you're used to the hustle and grind, which I am so not all about the hustle and grind. You can relate. That's great, Vivian. Yeah. So yeah. And yeah, that's part of why, I mean, if you know sort of my journey, I grew up in New York, or outside of New York City, and then moved to San Francisco. And part of that was to get away from that hustle and grind, go, go, go pace. Not that I'm not ambitious and that I don't have big dreams, but one of the things that I've been looking at personally and sharing with people in my spaces, that I'm looking at not just what are my targets, not just what are my ambitions, my big vision, my goal, but also like, what's the quality in which I want to get to that place, and how do I want the journey there to be? Vivian, I'm reading what Vivian wrote. Last month, I was let go from my job, and I've been slowly putting myself together, starting to look for next steps and opportunities. Yes. So that's, first of all, when something occurs like that, I'm sorry to hear that you lost your job, and what opportunity, what new greater possibilities can that open up for you? Yeah. And sometimes when something like that happens, it may take us a moment to, like, it may set us back for a moment and take us a moment to get our feet back on the ground, to get up and running, to sort of figure out, okay, now what, where do I go from here? And I think that's okay to take your time in that process, to be really kind and gentle with yourself through that process. And yeah, and there is a degree of, like, I'm very grateful. I have a lot of luxury in the sense of I have that space, I have that time to take for myself in this process. And I know I recognize that not everybody does, right? Like, if you need that income and you need to replace that income, time in that regard may not be a resource that you have in super abundance, though I think we have all the time in the world. But also, taking time doesn't have to necessarily take a lot of time, right? It can just be carving out half an hour or an hour to just really sit with yourself and get present and tune in, or go for a walk in nature, or do something that just allows you to really tune in and be present with yourself and be kind to yourself. I was talking to somebody last week who was like, I'm so burnt out, I'm so exhausted. I was like, oh my God, I was there 2 weeks ago. So glad I'm not still in that space right now, but I totally understand. And she's like, I'm just so tired. And we were saying, like, just rest, like, even if it's half a day, right? To take and it's not like she didn't have a ton of things to do. But just giving yourself that space, that kindness. If it was a child and they were like, I'm so tired, what would you say? You'd say, go take a nap. So go take a nap if that's what you need. Go take a bath, go take a walk. Go, eat a cookie if that's what it feels like you need. But just giving yourself that space and that time, I think, is so important. And I often say, it sounds really counterintuitive, but when you're overwhelmed, when you're feeling burnt out and you feel like, I need to do more, I need to go faster, I need to move quicker, it's like, actually just slow down, take your time, let things go. Like, the world will not fall apart, as much as I really truly believe that the world will not fall apart, if you take some time for yourself. So do it, be kind to you, treat yourself the way you would a best friend on her birthday or something like that. Just be super kind to yourself. Yeah, that is my wish for you. So, again, if you're live, say hello. Let me know you're here. I'm going to shift gears to pulling some cards. If you guys have more questions about that, let me know in the chat. If that's resonating with you, let me know. And if you would like a card for yourself, you can drop that in the chat as well. I already have a card for the group for this week. So the deck I chose, I think this is the same deck from last week, the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. I've been super loving this deck at the moment. I'm like, this box looks 3D right now. I don't know if that's just me. So Wisdom of the Oracle deck by Colette Baron Reed. It has some of the most beautiful, whimsical artwork that I just love. And the card, the card that we've got for the group today is number 11, which is a great number. And it says, buy the book. Okay, so number 11, let's see what it says. This is for the group. So if you're catching the replay, this one's for you. The essential meaning says, abiding by social rules, conformity, respecting cultural or family customs, universal laws. The universe works within a structure of divine laws and principles that provide a framework for human experience and evolution. The law of abundance, the law of prayer, the law of karma, the law of attraction, the law of thought, the law of compensation, the law of nature are only a few that are known. These principles create perfect order and operate with a kind of precision beyond human understanding. Even revolution has its place in universal law. Human beings, in turn, have their own laws, customs that vary from culture to culture and family to family. Laws keep social order and govern behavior, reflecting an instinctive understanding that harmony is important. This is a time to learn these laws and conform to them rather than being the rebel and flouting them. When this card appears, submit to structure and follow the rules, even if they seem to make no sense. Release resistance, for universal laws will correct any disharmony. Open your eyes to those universal laws, and it will be easier to go by the book at this time. This is an interesting card. I don't know if I've gotten this card before. I'm just looking because these cards have a relationship message and a prosperity message. But I'm just going to read the oracle message. So by the book, it's got those little elephants following the leader. Learning the laws. So what's interesting about this is it's talking, yes, it includes the laws of society, but it's really talking about universal laws, and how the world works, how reality works. I have a book here called The Laws of Spirit. I think that's what it's called. The Laws of Spirit, by Dan Millman, who wrote Way of the Peaceful Warrior. It's a beautiful book. It's really tiny book, really easy to read, and I love it. I'm so excited. I'm not announcing this officially until next week, but sneak peek for being here. A shop of sorts on my website that has all my favorite books that I love to recommend, all my favorite oracle cards that I love to recommend. And so that's one of them, and it talks about all of those laws in a beautiful way. And so yeah, just tuning in, I'm going to just read that list of laws of the universe: law of abundance, law of prayer, law of karma, law of attraction, the law of thought, the law of compensation, and the law of nature. And I think nature is a great way to sort of observe how things work and get insight into the truth of things. So I think that's a really great place to start. Just like I was saying about animals, like plants too, like there's plants that grow really fast and plants that grow really slow. Plants that need lots of water, plants that don't need any water at all. So sort of recognizing that we are all unique and different, and sort of identifying what is the truth of who you are. But in regard to this card, identifying what are the rules of this reality, of the culture that you are living in, and that may be different depending on where you are in the world. And then right now is a time for playing by the rules, according to this week's card. I love that. Thank you for being here with me and sharing in this with me. I always love having you here and connecting with me in this way, at this time, in this space. It's such a joy for me. So thank you for being on with me. And we will be back next week, same time, 12 Eastern. And if you guys have any business questions, as always, you can drop them in the group, shoot me a DM. I do have spaces open for one-on-one coaching clients. So if you are looking for business coaching, if that's something you're interested in, you can reach out to me about that as well. Would be happy to set up a time to chat and see, talk more about that. And otherwise, I love you guys lots. Hope you have a beautiful, beautiful week. Be kind to you. And I'll be back with you next week.